Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa D'Amico with the Rockland Arts Festival, and I have the pleasure today of speaking with Marc VanDermeer. Marc, I am a fan of your work. Let's start from that point.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa.
And I
Thank
have
you.
a feeling that the more that people see your work, the more they will become fans as well. So I am very curious to know how you create these incredible pieces, especially the one that you submitted to represent you in the festival. So start from any point that you feel comfortable with.
Okay. Well, um, I've been making art all my life. My mother was an artist in the 70s, and she started teaching me at a young age. And I was a painter up until 2000. And then I started getting into digital photography. And my process has evolved since then. What I did back then is that I would take some of my 2D, my paintings, and I would try to add them into my photography, painting over a photograph. In those days, the tools were really poor. You used Photoshop and they had brushes that you could use. Well, fast forward to today, about 2 years ago, I started working with an Apple I pencil, which allowed me to paint. And I could paint right on a digital photograph by creating layers. And if you can imagine, you have a photograph, and then over here, right next to it, you have a canvas, and you can paint whatever you want, and then you can meld the two pieces together. I've always been a collage artist. That is some of my earliest works were cut and paste. And then naturally with Photoshop around 2000, I started doing my collages in Photoshop using photographs that I had taken with other elements. So this work is a series of landscapes that I titled Artificial Light. And basically, I wanted to do this. Well, let me back up. Robert Rauschenberg, Motherwell, these abstract expressionist artists, they're my inspiration. When I painted, I did abstract expressionist work. So I started to want to add those elements into my photography. And the way I did it is, positive and negative space doesn't have to be black and white. It can also be a painted object in the foreground. So in artificial light, I created a pink sun on a landscape photograph. And then I used a filter to create the feeling of motion for the water, which created a really nice blend. It gave, it melded all the colors together, and it was a nice effect. And then I started to add some linear lines onto it that I hand drew with an Apple pencil and added color to it. And I liked the way it kind of bounced it. It drew the eye. Let's say you have a photograph and you don't have the right kind of balance for it. Well, what's to stop you from adding that balance, artificially, so to speak? Um, so this whole series emerged from it, of where I was taking landscape photographs and painting over them, adding different elements. And by the time it was done, you couldn't make out some of them. You wouldn't. They really went much further. But one of them that was usable, that I feel really good about, but it's actually been in quite a few shows, is the one titled Artificial Light, which is this beautiful aquamarine water, which has been blurred. So it creates these nice linear lines. And then I added linear lines, and then I created an artificial light with the sun. So that's a little bit about my practice. I'm always trying to challenge myself, Lisa. I like to, it's almost like experiment is the mother of invention. Um, and I just like to try different new things. Why not? The things are limitless. If you can imagine it, you can create it.
That we need to put on a t-shirt.
If you can imagine it, we can create it.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's wonderful. And, before we go, I just want to make one comment about your work. I love that you take something very traditional, like a landscape photograph, and you make it something incredibly contemporary. But on top of that, you have a beautiful brilliance with color.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
you just take it to such a intense, almost saturated level that it borders on delicious.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah.
That's the nicest thing anyone said to me in a while. Thank you very much.
Well, listen, thank you so much for speaking with me today. And I hope that everyone listening will follow you like I do and enjoy your perspective on the world. It's very interesting.
Thanks, Lisa.